So the next wonderful group that we're about to hear from is James and Sonia.
Thank you, Edward. Hello, everyone. I never really had to think about my father, how much I loved him, how much he meant to me until April 23rd, 2016. That's when my mother called and said that my dad was in the emergency room. So I rushed there, and the family soon got a diagnosis, and it was of stage 4 lung cancer. It had widely metastasized. It was in his bones, it was in his organs, it was in his brain. He was given a life expectancy of months. So this was terrible news, and it gave me and the family this desire. We had to find a way to hang on. So we had this idea of conducting an oral history. So I sat down and interviewed him and got him to tell just everything about his life story, going back to his parents' lives when they were in Greece, to his own growing up in a farm town, his college years, meeting my mom, his favorite jokes and songs, everything I could get. I had all of this professionally transcribed, printed it out, put it in a binder, 90,000 words, stuck it on a shelf, and there it was. So this was it was a wonderful resource for the family, but also an inert one. And it didn't represent my dad and the dynamic, funny, smart person that he was. So it was around this time that I'd started work on a book about conversational AI, the technology behind Assistant and Alexa and Siri. And this led me to a very unlikely inspiration for how I could make my father's story interactive.
You're here. How are you?
Oh my gosh, she's talking to me.
Yes, I was inspired by Barbie, whose AI brain in the cloud lets her talk about pets and fashions and feelings. And I discovered that the authoring program to make Hello Barbie was something that I could use. And instead of making a kid's doll, I could make what I started calling the Dad Bot, an interactive way to share my dad's story. So it took the better part of a year to create this, but I wound up with something that I could communicate with over Facebook Messenger, that both by text and audio. So I'll just give you a quick example. How did you meet Mom?
In the morning, I'd been playing tennis and was wearing tennis whites. And I came bounding down the stairs of the theater toward the stage saying, "Tennis, anyone?" And Mom thought I was the biggest jerk in the world.
She got over it. The Dad Bot can also communicate even by video sometimes. Can you do one of your Gilbert and Sullivan numbers for me?
When I was a lad, I served a term as office boy to an attorney's firm. I cleaned the windows and I swept the floor and I polished up the handle of the big front door.
My dad. So the Dad Bot doesn't replace my dad, doesn't even come close, but has given me this powerful and vivid way to help remember him. And I did the Dad Bot for myself, and I did it for the family. But after word of it spread, I started hearing from people around the world saying, "Hey, could you create a Dad Bot, a Mom Bot, a Spouse Bot for me?" So here to tell you about what happened next is Sonia Talati.
So now imagine if you could create those Dad Bots, Mom Bots, and Spouse Bots and make it a reality for everybody. Wouldn't that be cool? So we thought it would be, and we decided to launch Hereafter this year in an effort to be able to create interactive live story sharing chatbots so that people don't have to lose somebody that they love. You can think of it as a time capsule where, it's the person's truest essence and who they are, along with their stories, their most significant stories, and little snippets of their favorite songs and whatnot, all bottled up into one thing. The desire to preserve memories is huge, as I discovered in my own work as a legacy consultant and as a journalist. I was on the hunt to find different ways to preserve legacies for families, And this was after writing about it for over 5 years at the Wall Street Journal and Barron's. And it quickly became apparent to me that there was a huge need for this and that the industry was on the verge of a growth binge. The trend line started about 15 to 20 years ago with, after 9/11, as people started living longer, as families had more generations alive, 4 to 5 generations instead of 3 to 4, and as technology picked up. Ancestry.com, 23andMe, and other family history and genealogy sites started popping up and becoming popular for the first time ever. People wanted to keep alive their own histories, were curious to learn more, and were proactive about doing it. And they were seeking outside help to get the best results. In the US, 72% of people believe that legacy preservation is a need. In the next 3 years, between 2018 and 2022, the industry will have grown by 32%, and the market size is about $2 billion right now, and that's growing rapidly. So here I am on my quest to find the best ways to preserve legacies, offering people solutions from books and videos to digital scrapbooks. I was giving them resources to some of the best philanthropic advisors in the country, family counseling, et cetera, and guess what they really latched onto? Chatbots. They all kind of had the same reaction with their eyes sort of bulging out like a salamander's. And I thought, well, there's something here. This was after interviewing hundreds of people in depth and having conversations about what it is that they truly wanted for their legacy. They didn't care about their wills. They didn't care about formal legacy plans. They wanted to be able to tell their story, and storytelling was very important, and the ability to be able to pass down what was important to them to their children and grandchildren. So let me tell you a little bit about what a Hereafter legacy voice bot is like. Let's say the avatar is of Joe Smith. First, you summon him on an Alexa device or one of your favorite smart home devices. Joe will share his life stories. He will talk about everything from his childhood to his college times, some of those that maybe he doesn't want to relive, to his current reflections about life, to his career, pretty much the whole span of his life. You also can have the opportunity to ask him for advice if you're struggling with a major life problem or having a hard time. From time to time, Joe might even tell you a joke or sing a song for you. But really the best part is that Joe gets you and understands the sentiment behind what you're saying thanks to AI. And of course, you can tell Joe to stop talking at any time, and he will, which is probably the only aspect that's not really human-like, even though maybe we wish it were. So in summary, it's the early days for our company, and we're going to be adding more topics, more variety, and more interactivity as time goes on, and it's only going to get better and better. Woo! Oh.